Hello, my loves. Welcome to your Cosmic Weather Report for the week ahead. We've got a really beautiful week this week that's going to help to take us through the doorway into the second half of the year. The energy of the week begins on Wednesday when we get Mercury trine Saturn. Now, this is going to bring us flow where you felt stuck and ease where things have felt difficult. So where you've been perhaps in the first half of the year struggling against certain things or not being able to make sense of certain things, there's all of a sudden going to come through a movement. Those places in your life that you felt stuck, restricted, bound, there's suddenly going to be ideas that come through, or answers that come through, or solutions that come through, or a knowing of what to do next. And that's going to be really powerful energy to take us through this doorway into the second half of the year. This is also going to bring a real energy of finding your inner authority. So knowing who you are, knowing what you want, knowing what you will and won't accept in this second half of the year, knowing your boundaries, knowing the structures that you need to put in place and the foundations you need to lay to get you to where you want to be by the end of the year. There's going to be a real energy of kind of building something from a place of real inner authority, a place of stepping into the fullness of your power, to know that you are a powerful co-creator, to know that it's all up to you, to just really have this sense of knowing of this is who I'm going to step into the second half of the year as, these are my boundaries, these are what I will and won't accept, and this is what I'm going to do bit by bit, slowly, steadily, to get to where I want to be by the end of the year. Now on Friday, just a little public service announcement about Friday before I go any deeper into the energies. On Friday, we get Mercury square Chiron and the last quarter moon. But Mercury squaring Chiron could mean that there's a lot of wounds and pain coming back to the surface. So just be really careful with your words on Friday. Just really choose your words carefully and notice where you are perhaps yourself a bit sensitive to things that other people are saying. There's going to be real sensitivity and real tenderness around Friday, where all of us are like, oh, I'm just feeling a little bit like, oh, a little bit tender. So if we can all just be a bit more mindful of each other and a bit more loving towards each other, we'll get through this day with no issues. But Mercury square Chiron, although it is going to feel a bit tender, a little bit vulnerable, some old wounds might come up. You might notice that certain words you hear or certain things that people say to you kind of brings up old stuff. You might find you're thinking about old wounds, about past hurts. You might find memories beginning to surface. And this actually does have some power in it. It's really helping us as we move into the second half of the year to find the gifts in our wounds, to find the purpose in our pain, to find the lessons, and to really know what is still tender so that we can then do the work of healing it. Because with the last quarter moon happening in Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac, this last quarter moon is the part of the lunar cycle where we do the big releasing of this is what I don't want to take into the next cycle with me. So we've come into the second half of the year. The last quarter moon is going to bring us a moment to go, hang on, what's come with me? What did I not want to bring with me? What's still lingering around? What's still hanging around? And also, what have I hidden and buried down there that does then resurface back up? You know, maybe you get into a new relationship and you suddenly find all of those old hurts of the past coming up, and so you play out the same roles again in a relationship, or you remember that time. And this is one that happened to me. I'll never forget it. I was reading out loud in class in primary school and I got a word wrong and everyone laughed at me, and that made me terrified to speak on stage. Even now I still get like the fear of speaking out loud because I'm like, what if I say something wrong and everyone laughs at me? So we'll be able to notice where those old wounds still affect us and almost like colour our present and our future. And this real opportunity with that last quarter moon in Aries to say, I don't want to keep repeating this. I don't want this to keep coming back up over and over again. I don't want to keep carrying this pain with me anymore. Let me look at some forgiveness, some deep healing, some real understanding of this, coming to terms with certain things, making peace with certain things, and knowing what you need to let go of in order to be able to move forwards. With Aries being that first sign of the zodiac, it's all about moving forwards, doing things differently, starting over. And so the last quarter moon sometimes feels like a It's juxtaposition, the word I'm looking for. It feels quite odd because we're in this big, deep release and we're also in this new energy of Aries, but it blends together beautifully because it says, what do you need to let go of to be able to start again, to start new, to do things differently, to not keep repeating the same things over and over and over. And so on Friday, just pay attention to what's stirring, what's resurfacing, what's coming back around, and what you want and are ready to really let go of and allow to fall away so that you can move into a second half of the year and really do things differently. And as I mentioned, I'm just going to say it again, just please be gentle with everyone around you and also notice if you're sensitive and just try not to react. Just take a pause, take a breath and looking at like, oh, what did that bring up for me? What pain did that cause for me? Why did that affect me? Why did that bother me so much when they said that? Rather than me lashing back out on them of how dare you say this to me, let's go in here and go, why is that still tender? Why is that still sore? Let me come inwards and find the understanding of that. And that's where deep inner healing truly begins. Now, Saturday, then we get a beautiful day on Saturday. We get Venus sextile Mars and Saturn stations retrograde. So first of all, the Venus sextile Mars, not all of you might have seen it, but I did some stories on here a few days ago about where do we struggle to ask for help and why. And I asked you, do you allow yourself to ask for help? And if not, why? And I've just remembered that you might be watching this either on YouTube or listening on the podcast. And so when I say I did them on here, I mean on Instagram. We only used to put these on Instagram in the beginning, so I'm always in my mind still speaking to there, but I'm going to broaden this out to all of you now. But the stories are around where do you not allow yourself to receive help and why? And the answers were so touching because most of you said the reason you didn't allow yourself to receive help was because you didn't want to feel like a burden, or that you felt it was weak to ask for help and it was weak to not be able to do it by yourself. And what Saturday, this Venus sextile Mars energy is going to do is to really help us to begin to balance giving and receiving and to balance the masculine and feminine energies. And so to look at where have you been too much in your masculine, the doing, the fixing, the rushing around there, the being in the outside world, the getting things done, and how can we then balance that with time in our feminine, which is allowing, receiving, surrendering, intuition, flow. And so this day, Saturday, is going to ask us to really find a beautiful balance between that masculine, feminine, the giving, the receiving. If you spend too much time in your thinking mind or too much time in that masculine energy, how can we bring in more feminine, more tapping into deep inner wisdom, deep intuition? And how can you, if you do struggle with asking for help and receiving help, how can you begin to allow yourself to be more in that feminine energy of receiving and allowing and surrendering to what it is that you need and welcoming that in? So this is going to give us a really wonderful opportunity to start to find that balance. So it might be a really nice day to look at, where have I been spending too much time in my masculine, or where have I been spending too much time in my feminine? Because equally, too much time in feminine, we don't tend to get things done. We tend to spend too much time then just, I'll just flow and I'll just feel into it and I'll just, go with it. And we don't actually then do the things that we need to do to get the stuff done. So we don't want to spend too long stuck in either. And this day is going to bring, when planets are sextile, it means the planets really beautifully blend and work together in a flow. It's going to help us to really find that flow of masculine energy, of what we need to give and what we need to do, and then where we need to draw back and rest and receive. So it might be a lovely day to just pay attention to where you perhaps get stuck in one or the other. And then a Saturn station's retrograde. This is a really wonderful time now throughout Saturn retrograde to, first of all, let go of those restrictive ideas and rules you have on yourself. So look at your life, especially as we just moved into a second half of the year, a new part of the year. Where do you restrict what isn't possible for you? Oh, that would never happen for me. Things like that don't happen for me. Or this is the way that I must do it. And where do you have those rules around how you have to do things or how things have to be in a certain way? And again, being in that masculine energy perhaps of controlling things, well, it has to work out this way and it has to happen this way and this is the way that it's just got to be. how can we now begin to let go of some of those restrictions and let go of some of those boundaries that don't serve us? Because what many of us need to do is create more boundaries that do serve us and let go of a lot of the boundaries that don't. But instead we build up these boundaries that don't serve us, and then we almost like hold ourselves to account and hold the universe to account of, well, I want this, but it's got to be like this and this and this and this and happen in this way. And then we block the flow completely, and we again block that masculine feminine energy completely, because we're not allowing in what wants to come in. So first of all, the letting go of any restrictions, any control that you put on yourself or life, any like boundaries that really aren't serving you, where you have perhaps hardened yourself to the world of I don't need help and I don't need anybody and I'm going to do it all on my own. Whatever it might be that restricts you and doesn't feel good, it's a time to let go of that. And then what Saturn retrograde really asks us to do is start to take a very deep responsibility for our own lives. And in doing so, to realize that we are not responsible for anybody else's life or happiness, and neither are they responsible for ours. And so first of all, where are you giving too much of your time and energy and attention to other people, trying to fix them, trying to sort their lives out, trying to make things happen for them? And equally, where are you waiting for somebody to fix you or somebody else to change before you can do what you want to do, or waiting for something out there or outside of you to make it happen, to come in on the white horse, to rescue you? It's going to ask us to take that real radical responsibility for our own lives. I am only really truly responsible for my life and my happiness. And when we realize that, everything in life shifts. So this again is a really sweet day to look at that play of masculine and feminine. Where am I too much in the control or in the fixer, and where do I need to begin to allow more of that receiving and more, I guess, more allowing. So this is it's going to be a really lovely day for gaining a lot of clarity. And then Sunday, we get Mercury sextile Uranus. Now, this is again it's going to feel like perhaps a little bit of a challenging week, but then with a really sweet weekend to top it off. When Mercury meets Uranus, Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So Mercury is the thinking mind, the human mind. Uranus is the cosmic mind, the divine mind, the higher consciousness. So when Mercury and Uranus meet, and again, they're in this sextile, this beautiful blend and flow of energy, there's going to be an ability to tap into higher states of consciousness, to come out of your human mind and your human problems and human thinking and human worries into your soul self mind, your higher self, into the divine wisdom, into that cosmic consciousness. And so this is a time then that big ideas can come in, out of the box thinking can come in. We might have struggled with something for ages, and all of a sudden we're like, well, that's how I do it. Oh, have I never thought of this before? Like that's how it can work out. And you might remember on Wednesday, we started to feel into a little bit of this energy when we got Mercury meeting Saturn, which helped us to find more of the flow and more of the inspiration. And now as the week closes out with Mercury and Uranus meeting, we're just going to have this ability to tap into those real higher states of consciousness. So if you have been struggling with something, if you found that Friday energy a lot and a lot of stuff was coming up for you, Sunday is a time to really give anything up to your higher self. I'm not sure what to do with this, please help me. I can't see where I'm going, please show me the way. And to give all those human things that we struggle with in here, and we give ourselves those little forehead wrinkles trying to like really think about something and solve it. Give it up to something higher, give it up to something greater, give it up to the part of you that knows, and then really open your mind to those big out of the box ideas, to inspiration, intuition. And if anything comes to mind on Sunday, please don't ignore it. It's like little downloads. It's like your soul, your cosmic consciousness can dial down to you and say, hey, I've got this great idea for you. I think you should really do this. So don't ignore anything that comes to you on Sunday, because there is an idea in it. There is a bit of divine insight there of something that only you can bring to life. So pay attention on Sunday. I'm sending you so much love for the week, my darlings. As always, I really hope that this helps. I adore doing these for you, and as navigating the week together, it always really helps me to know that I'm like, we're all out there navigating this week together, and it feels like we're prepared for what it is that we might need, and we know that we're all in this together. We've got this together. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll be back soon.